Good morning, Knicks Nation. Today is Tuesday, the 21st day of February 2023. I hope you're all safe and healthy today and that your family is safe and healthy and the needs of you and your family in terms of food, shelter, clothing, as well as health are being met today. Blessings upon those that work in the healthcare field, along with the first responders who are out here every day saving lives, and those that pick up garbage for us to keep streets and sidewalks and parks wrecked, clean, and disease free. Those that make deliveries of important things like food and water, as well as mail for our convenience. Double blessings on the men and women that are trying to help rescue and deliver the teenagers and children that are the victims of child molestation and pedophilia. The victims also of pornography and child pornography. The victims of human trafficking, sex slavery, prostitution, child prostitution. Double curses on the perpetrators, double curses on the profiteers, and double curses on the perverts who create this heinous and disgusting industry. Finally, blessings upon the homeless. There are nearly 600,000 men, women, and children homeless on the streets of the United States right now, and millions around the world in similar or worse conditions. Blessings upon them, for theirs is the kingdom. So, today, this week, we'll be going through players, Knicks players, and maybe some college players. We went through some college players before. I'm not actually outside the top couple. I'm really not high on this draft. There are. I know everybody's hyped about it, but outside maybe the top 10. There's only to me Chris Murray, and then a bunch of guys that could or could not make it. There's gonna be a star in there, but it's hard to see. Hard to see. I like the Hendricks kid out of Central Florida, but again, even he is several years away from really being an effective NBA player. So right now, I'm looking at Chris Murray, and we'll talk more about him. We talked about him. To me, especially in the range the Knicks are going to draft in, there's no better fit for the Knicks than Chris Murray. And I never look at the draft in terms of a guy that's going to come in and play right away. Because first of all, we're dealing with Tom Thibodeau. You're not going to play right away, okay? Secondly, they're rookies. Generally speaking, with very few exceptions, rookies do not make a major difference on a playoff team in their first year. Do not. They might be an ancillary piece sometimes. But generally, it takes a couple of seasons of development for a player to be ready to make an impact. Which brings us to today's highlight, the rising star, Quentin Grimes. Quentin Grimes is only in his second year. Okay. Now, oftentimes, people look at players that are in college or high school and try to, in fact, that's what teams and scouts do. They try to project what that player is going to be like in the NBA. First question is, can they become an NBA player? Not everybody that could dunk and jump 48 inches is an NBA player. Okay? Just because a guy can do all kinds of crazy dunks doesn't mean he could play basketball. It just means he could jump high. All right? So oftentimes there are players that are outstanding players in high school or college that will never play in the NBA, just not good enough to play on the NBA level. Remember, the league is 400 of the greatest basketball players on planet Earth. There's a big Earth out there, and there are multiple millions of people that like to play basketball. Okay? You're only talking about, of multiple millions, you're talking about 400. Okay? Very, very small, microscopic percentage of the basketball players that are on planet Earth. So when you're coming into the league, it's very difficult. It's very difficult. So only the best of the best play in the NBA. Period. If you're in the NBA, you can play basketball. You can play very good, very well, because it's how difficult it is if you understand the numbers. I mean, you're talking about playgrounds. You're talking about elementary schools, junior high schools, high schools. You're talking about people in the AAU, in other summer, in other leagues and other type of traveling teams. You're talking about different schools, Division 3, 2, 1, junior colleges, and that's just the U.S. We're not even talking about now the same thing. You could be France and Germany and UK and all over Europe and all over countries of Africa and China and Asia. There's basketball players all over the planet. And so to get to be one of those 400 best, you really have to be really good. Okay? Some people look at a guy and think he can dunk and think he's going to be all world in the NBA, and he may not even be to play in the NBA. That's happened before. So with Quentin Grimes, when you look at him at the University of Houston, he had transferred from, as we all know, or most of us know, he had transferred from Kansas. He had been a 5-star recruit coming into Kansas with Bill Self. He was going to be a point guard. He was in high school a point guard. But for whatever reason, it didn't work out in Kansas with Bill Self and his point guard. So he came to Kevin Sampson at University of Houston. Another very tough, defensive-minded coach, okay? And he became a 2-guard, a wing player. And that's where I actually come. I didn't remember him from Kansas. I saw him at University of Houston. And he struck me as, first of all, an NBA, there's got to be a skill that a college player shows, or any prospect for the NBA, that is NBA level, at least one. Right? Some people it's shooting, right? Some people it's rebounding. Some people it's defense. There's got to be a skill that a prospect shows that meets NBA standards. Okay, they can play in the NBA based on this skill. For example, we had a player named Frank Ntilikina who couldn't shoot or didn't shoot. Okay, wasn't an outstanding scorer, but he played in the NBA and still does based on his ability to defend. Okay, so he could do that on the NBA level, and that's what got him in the NBA. There are players like that. There are other players that make the NBA based on their ability to shoot. They can shoot the ball high level. Duncan Robinson, for example, with Miami Heat, he came in the NBA based on his ability to shoot the ball. Now, shooting in the NBA, we'll talk about in a second, is not like shooting in college, okay? Because you got to be able to deal with the speed of the players and get your shot off accurately in the NBA. So it's an adjustment. So, but you need some skill that puts out to say, somebody said, oh, okay, that skill will get him in the NBA. Okay, if they have other skills, okay, that's better, right? So there was a guy, Ty Washington. Everybody was hyping Ty Washington. But he had no thing that popped out that said, oh, this is going to make him an NBA player. It was nothing there, in my view. He had a lot of things he did okay, but nothing popped out. That's why when I'm looking at an NBA prospect, I'm looking especially defensively, shooting, rebounding. One of those things has got to be dominant enough to say, can he do that in the NBA against the world's best players? And then you can start building from there. So with Quentin Grimes, in my view, the first thing that caught my eye was his defense. NBA level at University of Houston. All over the place. Guarding his man 94 feet. Can do it in the half court. Not only with the quick feet, not only, which is very important, the quick feet, the foot movement, the hip ability to switch your hips with your player you're guarding, but the IQ on the defense, to know where to be on the defense, to know where the other team is trying to go on the defense. He had all that at the University of Houston. So that, to me, was enough for me to catch my eye, okay? Especially defensively. As you guys know, I'm a lover of defense. And so, which is why I like Tom Thibodeau. I'm a lover of defense. So when I look at players, I'm looking to see what they do on that end. I'm not even looking. That's why a guy like Cam Thomas even though he's a tremendously gifted NBA level scorer, he wasn't as high on my list because I saw lack on the defensive side. Okay, so obviously he's a player that can score 40 in the NBA. So that's why he's in the league, okay? Quentin Grimes was NBA level defensively. Then I saw a guy that was probably, in my view, one of the best rebounding 2 guards in college basketball at that time. Then there was the jump shot, which was pretty, okay? There's a lot of guys with pretty jump shots. They don't always go in. Okay, I remember the Knicks had Doug McDermott, who they called McBuckets, come out of Creighton. He was drafted by the Bulls. The Knicks ended up with him for a season or two. And I remember I was reading about one of the players, Courtney Lee. we used to have a guy, Courtney Lee, on our team, solid NBA player. And he said, they call you McBuckets, but I don't see you making it. You got a pretty jump shot, but nothing's dropping. And that happens a lot. These guys are pretty J's, but nothing really coming, nothing really, you look at the numbers, they're not shooting well. Doug McBuckets could shoot the ball, though. And he ended up being a good shooter in the NBA. And the same with Quentin Grimes. Pretty jump shot, but I wasn't sure if it could translate to the NBA. That was a question. He could rebound for a two guard, and he's actually better than I thought he would be as a rebounder in the NBA. I knew he could defend. And obviously, the IQ. He had a high-level IQ. See, again, because of the speed of the game. In the NBA, you could see it with Julius Randle, for example. And again, I'm now Julius Hive, so don't get offended. Anybody that, start tripping because y'all said something negative about your boy. He's all NBA. I think he's going to be all NBA again. I like he's going to be on the Knicks. But he gets lost defensively. And the reason you can see it, his head starts to spin. Everything is moving so fast. And this is a guy in the 8th year in the NBA. Everything offensively is moving so fast that he gets confused and he gets lost. Okay? And he'll end up guarding space when his man is somewhere open, and then it results in an open jump shot for somebody. So that's to show you in the NBA, whereas people run plays in all levels of basketball, plays move at a very high speed in the NBA. Things happen at a very high speed. And again, for example, people were whining about the lack of what they call imagination with Tibbs' offense, not understanding that what Tibbs is doing is he's creating one-on-one opportunities for Jalen Brunson and mismatches for Jalen Brunson and Randle. It happens so fast that people think, oh, Randle's just hogging the ball, Brunson's just hogging the ball. In the beginning, he was playing hero ball, no doubt, but it's part of the offense. The offense was built for him to have options, and one of those options is for him to get a mismatch. Generally, what the Knicks want is a 5 trying to guard Jalen Brunson. That's what they want, because that's a mismatch. Jalen Brunson would take them every time. Okay, so that's what's being created, but it happens at such speed that people don't see it until the end, right? And that's NBA period. So a player coming out of college must recognize NBA speed, and if you're going to be a playmaker, you have to really anticipate where people are going to be, how to get the ball to them. The open spots players are going to be on the court, and the defense. All that has to happen in split-second timing for an NBA player. Okay, I could sit here from the side and see it and talk to you about it. I couldn't perform it. Okay, I couldn't do it. I'd be lost out there too, because when you're on the floor and those people are moving like that, those big bodies are moving at speed you can't even imagine. It's different, right? So, but Quentin Grimes has playmaking ability on an NBA level. Okay, so what I saw was a rebounder, elite defender, playmaker, possible shooter. Okay, and so he came, he played first year, summer league, lit it up. Okay, good start, lit it up, then started really pushing for minutes coming into his rookie year with Tom Thibodeau. Coming off the bench, but then came the game against Milwaukee. Well, I think he hit 5 or 6 3-pointers in that game. And Tibbs at that point was trying to move him into the top of the rotation. Then he hurt his knee. Okay, but so far this year, he's played in 49 games. So the total number of games the Knicks have played this year has been 60. So he played in 49. He was hurt in the beginning of the season, averaging 30 minutes a game, 10 points a game. He is shooting 35% from the 3. He's taking 5 threes a game. This is his second year. It's really like his rookie year. And again, even a guy like that, and this is outstanding for him to be in his second year, 22 years old, playing like this. Like, for example, comparing him to R.J. Barrett. R.J. Barrett is a slow starter. We know that. Okay, slow starter in every way. Slow starter in the beginning of a game, slow starter in the beginning of a season, slow starter in the beginning of a career. That's him. Slow starter. Fast finisher, strong finisher. That's R.J. Barrett. Here he is in his 4th year, R.J., 22 years old. Quentin Grimes is 22, but he's in his second year. And I want to tell you something. He's more polished than RJ is right now. RJ's been in the league for years, and that's no slight on RJ. That's just demonstrating how good Quentin Grimes is. He's only in his second year, and he's already more polished than RJ Barrett. He can play make right now at NBA level. Elite defender. Somebody had the nerve to say his defense was, what they say, atrocious or some stupid thing. I'm like, I don't know. It's like saying the sky must be purple and everybody sees it's blue. I mean, I don't understand that, but Grimes is an elite defender on the perimeter. When Tibbs went to his 9-man rotation, the key pieces were Grimes, Deuce, and Mitchell Robinson that started that defensive unit that was holding people not only just under 100, but under 90 in a couple of games, okay? It's because of that guy. So you add him with MitchRob coming back, and now you have Hart is a defender also, tough as nails and more dynamic. It's going to be hell to pay, right? So Grimes can play make. He's an elite defender. And right now, he has the template, the makings of a great shooter. He's going to become that. It's going to take time. This is the thing about New York. We talked about the media hate in New York. And we talked about one of the reasons for the media hate is that when New York was winning chips, both in baseball, football, and basketball, nobody could say anything. And the reason why is because New York is not just the 5 boroughs. Okay, you've got the 5 boroughs, you got Long Island, you got New Jersey, you got Connecticut, right? You got even upstate a little bit up there past Westchester and all that. That's a lot of people, and that's not including all of Knicks Nation, like me that's in Florida or in California or in 50 states or in other countries like Romania or the UK or Africa. It's a Knicks Nation. Is huge. Okay, as far as basketball, really in terms of worldwide representation, there's only the Knicks to me and the Lakers, and it's really the Knicks bigger. Even the Lakers won all these championships. You think no? It's the Knicks and the Lakers. Baseball is the Yankees. Even though I'm a Mets fan, I gotta give that prop. Baseball worldwide, I can see people in Dominican Republic, people in Puerto Rico, people all over. The Yankees, man, the Yankees. See the big time. See big time, right? So, but for basketball, it's Knicks and Lakers, and it's Knicks. So that when the noise comes from Knicks Nation, the noise is loud, okay? It's loud. And it's for good or for bad. Okay, so first of all, you got to see if a player can actually perform on that stage. Okay, the toughest stage, the heaviest uniform in the world as far as basketball is the Knicks. Soccer is a different thing. Like I said, baseball, different thing. I don't know. But as far as basketball, pro basketball, there's no uniform heavier than the New York Knicks uniform. Period. End of story. None. You're expected to be champions even when you're rebuilding. And people and people act like that. Then media hates your owner. And then they, there's a whole bunch of stuff. So first, can you perform on that stage with that pressure? Quentin Grimes can. Okay, he can. And he does it with the poise of a veteran. Okay, so that's really good, Knicks Nation, because he's going to get better. He's not even scratched the surface yet. That's the expression. That's the thing that makes me excited. He hasn't scratched the surface yet. Really. Picture Grimes, he's shooting 35% now. Picture him when he's a 40% three-point shooter. This kid is a 40, 50, 90 guy in the future. That's who he is. 40, 50, 90. Three-level scorer, 40% from three, 50% from the field, 90% from the line. That's what you're going to get from him. Elite defense. All NBA level perimeter defense. Okay? And a really strong rebounder. See, everybody just Josh Hart. Josh Hart is elite. In terms of rebounding at the wing position, 2-guard position, Josh Hart is probably the best in the NBA. But see, I'm talking about the best in the NBA. Quentin ain't not that yet. But he is really good at rebounding, especially getting big rebounds at key spots, especially in the fourth quarter. Grimes has come through for the Knicks a lot of times like that. So between the playmaking, the defense, the rebounding, the shooting, we got something here. We really got something here. He was a rising star. He's going to become, that's appropriate. He's going to be a star. Okay, I say Allen Houston 2.0. I hear some people talking about Klay Thompson. Hey, I ain't gonna front if he becomes like Klay Thompson. I'm all good with that. But If he becomes like Allen Houston, but better defender, more of a playmaker, we're really going to be happy, Knicks Nation. So that is one of the reasons that it was told last summer that the Knicks held him out of trade talk. And that's why I'm saying to some of y'all now, they gave RJ the $120 million, but they were offering RJ and not Quentin in trades. They value Quentin Grimes higher than RJ Barrett. And I'm not, again, this is no slight. Some of y'all take every little thing as a slight. This is no slight on RJ. I'm being real with y'all. Quentin is more valued to the Knicks than RJ. Okay? And it's because of the package he brings, the total package he brings. That's a really, again, championship piece. That's what he is. See, the NBA is a star-driven league. And what do I mean by that? They highlight players because they make more money that way by highlighting players. And when they highlight a player, what I mean is they push that player way high in media and internet and commercials and everything, and they push them worldwide, especially China. Okay, any place that got over 1 billion people, you're trying to get as much as you can in there. The middle class of China and of India is bigger than the whole population of the United States because of the over 1 billion people there. And in India, you're talking about 2 billion. Okay, so you're talking about a group of a large segment that if you could get, 10%, 20% of that market share, you're doing really well. So that's why the NBA is a star-driven league. They push stars, but teams win championships. Okay, teams still win championships, and so you got to put together championship pieces to make a championship team, right? And so there's two different things. These are two different things. Now, sometimes, oftentimes, people that win championships need to have a superstar. Okay, for sure. But in terms of winning, you still got to put together the pieces first. Grimes is a piece. I told y'all Mitchell Robinson was a piece. Grimes is another piece. Okay, which is again why at the beginning of the 8-game winning streak that the Knicks had, I told you Mitchell Robinson, Quentin Grimes, and Deuce McBride formed a defensive nucleus that made the Knicks ferocious on the defensive end. Now you got Deuces out of the rotation, and I understand because you got Josh. You're not going to lose anything. Okay, Josh Hart, Quentin Grimes, Mitchell Robinson. You still form a defensive nucleus that's going to be ferocious. Okay, it's going to be ferocious, and so it's going to be good for us. But Grimes, in his second season, to me, everything that happens this year is just going to make him better. So the playoff push, the stretch run is going to make him better. The playoffs themselves is going to make him better. He's that type of guy that's going to be able to perform in a pressure cooker. If you could make it in New York on this stage, you could play anywhere. Okay, so when you see him, it's a perfect, to me, situation to have Grimes next to Jalen Brunson, who we know is a playoff performer. Okay, so you want these two guys there. And then we're hoping RJ Barrett does his usual act of getting stronger as you get to the end of the season and getting better in all areas of his game, including defense, at the end of the season. That's going to help the New York Knicks as well. So Quentin Grimes is obviously, in my view, a keeper. The only thing I can see, and this is more politics than ability, I'm going to say that up front. If the Knicks were to be able to get a Jeremy Grant or a Mikal Bridges, if they were able to acquire one of those two players, and let's say that's an if they're able to acquire one of those two, it would push Grimes to the bench. And it's not because RJ is better than Grimes. It's politics. RJ was the number 3 overall pick. They just gave him $120 million. He would be the 2 guard. Now, in all fairness, RJ is a natural 2 guard in my view. He's not a natural 3. He's playing the 3, been playing at a position for 4 years now. But he's natural 2, so he'd probably be better at the 2 guard spot. But Grimes would be the better 2 guard in my view. But he would go to Mobb Deep in that scenario. Again, Knicks would be now in the conversation for the Eastern Conference Championship. With that, to me, it don't take. See, some of y'all want to add all the million players. You don't need a million players. You got what you need. You just need one piece. that defensive stopper that can hit 3-pointers at the 3 spot. That same guy, the Jeremy Grant or the Mikal Bridges, somebody would say, well, what are we going to do with the backup 4? Those 2 guys can back up at the 4. Okay? So you have Julius Randle. Let's say it was Bridges. You have Julius Randle, MitchRob, and Bridges. Julius Randle goes out, Bridges plays the 4. Okay? You can do that. Same thing with Grant. Julius sits down, Grant can play the 10 minutes at the 4. You can do that. Okay? So that's what I'm talking about. So we have that. With just getting that one guy, you cover both of that situation. Plus you have, of course, you still have Hart, you got Grimes, you got RJ. That whole crew can handle all the duties at the 3 spots so that, if you switch over, Grant comes over to play the 4 for Julius, you still got Grimes, you still got RJ, you can still roll, okay? So we'd be in good shape. So, but having Grimes is a championship piece, okay? Brunson is a championship piece. Grimes is a championship piece. Mitchell Robinson's a championship piece. You got some. Okay, you got something right there. Emmanuel Quickly, in my view, is a championship piece. RJ Barrett has the makings of it, I believe, I really do. But I need some more from him. I need some more. I need to see some step up on the defensive side of the basketball. Julius Randle also. Julius is doing some things in New York that he's never done before in his life. Number one, he's never been to the playoffs before he came to New York. This will be his second year going to the playoffs. Number two, he's never been All-Star before he came to New York. Now he's an All-Star. He might even be be All-NBA again. So these are things he's never done. He's now doing things he's never done in terms of playing more team-oriented basketball. He really is, more than in the past, okay? Especially when he came to New York and been signed to be the man. Well, now Jalen Brunson's the man. So, All-Star game vote notwithstanding, Jalen Brunson's the man. So he's willingly taking the back seat. So as far as playoff performance, I wouldn't worry about the Atlanta series 2 years ago as a litmus or as a measuring stick for Julius Randle this year. He's a different player, and this is definitely a different team. And so it's going to be very interesting to see what happens. Somebody asked me today, who would you prefer to play in the first round? That's not the question to ask. Who's trying to avoid the Knicks? Everybody. Who's going to be unfortunate enough to meet the Knicks in the first round? That's the real question, because it don't matter. Somebody get ready to go home. I'm very confident in our squad, man, the way they're developing right now. So Quentin Grimes, to me, is a future All-Star, a future All-NBA defender. Okay? Those 2 things alone makes him special. And so let's roll with our squad, man. Y'all have a safe, healthy, good Tuesday. Shalom.